And the beat goes on as Local Decision 2024 continues. We are closing in on Election Day. I'm Eric Nelson. Thanks for tuning us in here on North Metro TV. And joining us in studio is Ashton Ramsammy, who's running for Minnesota House of Representatives, District 32A, Blaine and Ham Lake. And thanks for stopping by, Ashton. And tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and why you're running.
Thank you, Eric, and I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's watching this. It's great to become an informed voter. My name is Ashton Ramsammy, and I'm proud to be our DFL endorsed candidate. I believe in three specific things when it comes to running for office: people over politics. I've lived in Blaine for 20 years. Actually, I grew up here, graduated from Spring Lake Park High School, went to college in North Carolina for a little bit before COVID hit, and came back here and, has been just working and trying to get back into school. When it comes to our area, well, when it comes to myself, I guess, I grew up in a family that comes from public servants, military members, and small business owners.
Yes. So your family's been in the public sector, so to speak.
Yes, and so that's actually what drove me to run for office and to be involved in our community in the first place. My first time ever being a community volunteer, or working in the community and working for the public, was when I was 10 years old. I was actually a volunteer at a nursing home, and I went there every summer, every winter, to go just help with doing one-on-ones, playing bingo, and just being present. I then actually went on to move into joining the Civil Air Patrol, where I learned a lot about military leadership and actually got to be a flight marshal for our local Discovery Aviation Days. And so a lot of that's kind of just led into where I am here today, why I'm here today.
Yeah, and so if we were to look at your resume, what do you think has prepared you for this moment? Why are you qualified to be on the House?
I believe that I'm qualified to be in the House because we need people. We need not cookie-cutter politicians or, people who've been in debate or speech, and just we need real people, people who actually have worked out in the community. My first job experience was working at Caribou Coffee right here in Blaine, right at the National Sports Center. I stayed there for about 4 years, and I had some of the best conversations while serving coffee. And I think that's what we need out of our representative. We need someone who's understanding to the issues of just the common working person.
So the funding is in place now for a road I'm sure you've been on many times, Minnesota State Highway 65. That's the good news. But once 65 is completed, once 65 is a better 65, or as they say, thrive on 65, is that going to solve all of Blaine's transportation issues, or is there more work to do?
Oh, there's always more work to do when it comes to infrastructure. Blaine is just the start of it. I mean, yes, we got full funding for Highway 65 for the Blaine sector and a little portion of Ham Lake. But what we really need to be focusing on is north of it. Ham Lake, Andover, all the traffic's just not going to magically disappear with the road being fixed. We have to focus on actually getting funding to make sure that those areas have the infrastructure set in place so that we don't have to worry about them asking 10 years from now saying, hey, we need to fix this problem. We need to fix this now. We need to start doing more of preemptive action other than waiting for the problem to actually show up and fix it later.
Let's talk Social Security. Minnesota is one of 10 states that taxes that. Would you like to see that go away?
Yes. I do not believe that we should be taxing Social Security in any capacity. My grandparents are currently they actually just retired, are on Social Security right now, and are living in southern Blaine and have been for the last 20 years. And when I go talk to them, they're struggling. And it's not just them, it's people at the doors. They're telling me that they can't afford to just live. They can't go and buy groceries sometimes. Sometimes you have to choose between, well, I got to pay my mortgage this month or get food. And so eliminating Social Security eliminating Social Security tax will help benefit just millions of Minnesotans now and in the future.
Is that an example of people over politics? Because so many people rely on that check to get by. They don't have other income streams.
Yes. Actually, another experience I had was I recently worked as an employment consultant for RISE and helping people with disabilities find and keep meaningful employment. And in that job, I saw that there's just a lot of people who are struggling and to just pay rent or to keep up with basic necessities of life. It is an example of people of politics because we need to put people first. We can't just keep throwing hard balls at HR saying, well, we're going to eliminate tax on Social Security, we're going to eliminate tax on Social Security. We just need someone to actually be there and say, hey, we are going to eliminate tax on Social Security, and there's going to be no question about it.
The U.S. might be the only civilized nation on the globe that has a gun epidemic. We had a mass shooting in early September at a school outside of Atlanta. I know there have been some tougher laws on the books in Minnesota, but does more need to be done? Because I feel like the violence is knocking at everybody's door these days.
Yeah, well, I have family members who are gun owners, and I have talked to them, and it's a controversial issue for a lot of families. I think that there needs to be stricter background checks, that we need to start looking into where are these guns coming from? Where are the ghost guns coming from? We need to start finding where the crime is, like where they're actually getting the weapons from. I think once we find the source, that's what we need to focus on. I think if you're a lawful citizen, a law-abiding citizen who owns a gun for either hunting or your own protection, that's okay.
Would you like to see tougher laws?
Yes.
You know, jump through more hoops, in other words, which might weed out some of the bad apples?
Yes, I do believe that some tougher laws and weeding out would help.
What would you specifically like to see improved if you get into the House? Anything in general, yeah.
One of the big issues I've been hearing at the doors is education and our school overcrowdings.
Yeah.
I graduated from Sterling Park High School in 2019, and I went back there just last year just to see kind of how things are going. And my class size when I graduated was about 450. Right now, they're looking at almost 800.
Wow.
It's almost doubled, and teachers are complaining they can't handle having 40 kids in a classroom. It's hard. Kids aren't getting the individual care that they need in order to be successful. I think that when it comes to just big issues, we need to start putting more funding into our public schools, allowing for just more teachers to get better pay, and then allowing students to actually have the ability to be able to get the educational outcome that they deserve.
So when you're out door knocking, pounding the pavement, what else are you hearing from people in Blaine and Ham Lake?
Blaine, Ham Lake, and Columbus. So across all three cities, so one of the biggest issues I hear is obviously the economy. Inflation is hurting a lot of families when it comes to high prices and gas prices as well. And I think that investing in our community by ensuring that there is a check that's being sent back to families or cutting down government spending would allow for our communities and our people to thrive.
Do you have any specific budget priorities?
Well, when it comes to budget priorities, infrastructure is always number one. I think that there is no harm in investing in our roads. There's always benefit from making sure that we take preemptive action. Like, for example, like I said earlier, on Highway 65, making sure that when we are finished with the Blaine portion, that Ham Lake isn't just left to suffer from the traffic consequences that we've been suffering for decades now. That, and then also looking at Columbus. When we look at Columbus, there's a lot of roads that, or not a lot of roads, actually, yeah, there's a lot of roads that do need updating, which aren't state roads, but we can still help those cities. Columbus is looking to be one of the top cities by 2040, and by their 2040 plan, they're looking to expand and have apartments and business areas just like Blaine. And so I think as a district as a whole, we need to be focusing on making sure that all three cities are happy with what they have and that they have the tools that they need to be successful for themselves and for their citizens.
Yeah, and I think, specifically in Blaine, the city is on a global stage with the 3M PGA tournament and then the Target USA Soccer, the Cup. I mean, there's a lot of people coming in from all points beyond, and then it's also visual in terms of the way the media covers it on television, et cetera. So getting Blaine, as you know, as you said, the infrastructure as good as possible, that's only going to make it better for people who want to come here. And tourism is big in Blaine, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think it's also going to make things better for people just day to day. I remember when I would go to high school every morning, I would have to wake up at 6:30 because I live in North Blaine. I'd have to wake up 6:30 in the morning so that I could leave by 7 a.m. just to travel 2 miles down to Spring Lake Park High School. And I would still be late. Sometimes I would get there 7:45, maybe 8. It would take me 30 minutes to an hour, and I'm wondering, like, what's going on? Why is this the issue? And I think that once this road is rebuilt and infrastructure is set, it's going to help people on the day-to-day, making sure they get to work on time, making sure kids get to school on time. But like I said before, we have to make sure that's not just Blaine. We have Ham Lake, and we need to make sure that Ham Lake is able to get the places that they need to as well.
So if you do go to St. Paul and you're in the House of Representatives, how do you convince the other politicians that it is people over politics, that you don't get caught up in that cycle that we seem to see happen?
Well, see, I went to college for music performance. I'm originally a flute player, was an all-state and all-conference. One of the biggest things that I took away from being a musician was that a lot of people don't really know the inner workings of an orchestra. In our section, there's always drama. There's always people fighting over, well, I want first part, I want to play this solo, I deserve this, I need this. Like, everyone's always fighting, and it's always up until that last rehearsal. Everyone's at each other's necks. But the thing is at the end of the day, once we get to that final rehearsal, we all need to start acting as a team. We all need to realize that, well, regardless of whatever issues we may have with each other, whether they're playing the solo, I'm playing the solo, whoever's playing it, that at the end of the day, the people who are out in the audience do not care about that. What they care about is seeing the performance played well, in sync, as a team. And so when I look at St. Paul and I look at our government, I don't see that. I see parties that are fighting. They just fight. That's all they do. They don't really work together a whole lot. And I think that when I get there, what I want to do is make sure that we hear everyone's voices. Even if it takes a long time, we need to make sure that everyone is represented and make sure that both parties have come to an agreement before they set forward their plans for whatever they need to do that year.
Are you confident you can choreograph that orchestra in St. Paul, that political band, if you will?
Well, it's a hard thing to do. Yeah. I think that I can do it. I believe that I can do it because the fact is I don't really have much disagreements with people. I like to connect. If someone's mad at me and someone's angry, or if I have a disagreement, I don't just revel away and push them out. Instead, I want to sit down with them for coffee or take them fishing and, really figure things out. I think that over time, when you spend time with a person, you can really come to an understanding between both people and both parties and both sides to where we can actually keep moving forward and solve the issues that we need to solve.
All right. Final thought. Talk to the viewers. Tell them why they should vote for you.
All right. Well, I have to look at the camera. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I want to thank everyone who's watching this here today or whenever it's aired. My name is Ashton Ramsammy, and I'm proud to be our candidate. I believe that you should vote for me because I think we need a change in politics. I think that we need younger people, we need newer people who, may be a little shaky, but the fact is they're people at the end of the day. And I think that's what's going to help cool down our political scene, help stop the divisiveness, and it will make sure that we have a future for everyone.
All right, very good. Thanks for stopping by.
Cool, thank you.
All right, he's Ashton Ramsammy, running for the Minnesota House of Representatives, District 32A in Blaine, Ham Lake, and Columbus. This is Local Decision 2024.